shape. From a bizarre rectangle UFO floating over China to some footage captured by the Chilean Navy that's left experts dumbfounded. Join us as we take a look at 10 UFO sightings you need to see.
This striking footage emerged in August 2017. Filmed by several residents in Jinan, the capital of China's eastern province, Shandong. There in the sky is a bizarre rectangle shape hovering above the clouds. Two separate cameras captured the same sighting, as well as numerous residents all saying they saw the same strange shape flying in the sky. When the footage was posted on August 13, many took to Weibo, a social media site in China, to discuss the incident. Some say it was the door to heaven opening up, while others thought it looked like a glowing magic carpet. According to local reports, the phenomenon may have just been spotlights projecting onto the clouds in the night sky. While it does look very similar to a spotlight, normally you can detect a trail of light to the point of origin. This looks to be illuminated from behind an object. Whatever the case may be, it makes for an amazing piece of footage that still remains a mystery today. On a warm Tuesday morning on the 21st of February 2017, a UFO passed over Tasmania, Australia. The object looked like it was on fire as it streaked across the sky. Filmed by hundreds of eyewitnesses, the strange glowing object sparked fierce online debate. In the video, we see a bright yellow streak trailing in the morning sky. It looks like it's a flame, almost like a meteorite entering the atmosphere. When the video was shared to Facebook, it garnered thousands of views within days. Many polarizing theories were suggested, from space junk, fireball meteorites and contrails to fairies and alien visitors. Official reports said the incident was nothing more than an aircraft as it passed over Australian airspace. However, this did little to satiate witness theories, with many heralding the incident as aliens visiting from outer space. This mass UFO sighting occurred on July 23, 2011 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The incident was reported by dozens of eyewitnesses and even caught the attention of a local news report. Up to 4 separate pieces of footage were publicly released, all capturing the same strange circular shape floating in the sky. In the first video, we see a blue orb of light surrounded by a wheel of smaller rotating white lights. Skeptics have noted that the grainy footage may be nothing more than a Ferris wheel filmed by a tilted camera. However, in the second eyewitness's video, we see the same orbiting lights from a different angle. This perspective shows the object from the side. The rotating lights seem to form a disc shape. This angle makes it easier to see that the lights are floating in the sky. If we take a look at the third piece of footage, it shows the object has stopped spinning and is now all white. The interesting thing about this viewpoint is that the camera zooms out, showing that the UFO is actually really far away, becoming just a single dot when fully zoomed out. Finally, the fourth eyewitness's footage is different again. This time the object seems to have formed a triangular formation with a blue and green hue. This is some bizarre footage that was uploaded to YouTube back in 2007. For this video, we used the literal sense of the acronym UFO, as in it's an unidentified flying object. It's not necessarily alien in origin, but it's a flying craft of a speculative nature. In the clip, we see a man flying around in a small craft, not much larger than an average-sized wheelie bin. It has a fan jet engine on the bottom and has 2 landing feet similar to a helicopter. The video states that the craft is known as a WASP, an experimental vertical takeoff and landing system developed in the 1970s under the supervision of the US military. It can fly for 30 to 45 minutes at a maximum speed of 97 kilometers or around 60 miles per hour, with a vertical flying limit of 3,000 meters, which is around 10,000 feet. According to sources, the military discontinued the development of the aircraft as they deemed it inferior to helicopters and other flying craft at the time. In January 2017, striking footage emerged out of Salento, Italy. A local man noticed something strange in the sky at around 8 PM local time. He filmed the bizarre object with his smartphone. In the video, we see a bright white light hovering in the night sky. The mysterious UFO seems to change colour from white to green. At one point, it even transforms into a halo shape right before vanishing completely. The video is believed to be genuine and hasn't been manipulated in any way. It was posted to Facebook by Lucio Margiotta, a music teacher at the Music Academy of Salento. He was astonished at what he had captured, saying, "I don't know what it was, but it's very strange." Opinions on the footage vary greatly. Some commentators thought that perhaps the smartphone that the clip was filmed on distorted the image when it zoomed in, creating that strange halo effect. Others thought it could be Venus. Another user heralded the footage as the arrival of the sphere beings, creatures from another planet that he says visit him frequently. Whatever the case may be, it's still an amazing piece of footage. Could it be that aliens are observing our planet, or is this just a technological malfunction? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. There's not a lot of solid information to go on with this clip. It began appearing on YouTube in 2015. It claims to be filmed somewhere in Hawaii, however several channels report different dates for the sighting. In the video we see a large cylinder-shaped white UFO floating in the sky. Around the center object are half a dozen or so flashing lights. They pulse in and out of sight, darting here and there in the blue sky. The bigger object begins to move downward before flashing out of view. The other objects continue to pulse before darting quickly to the right of screen. It's hard to make further comment on this video as there's very little else to go on. The person who captured the footage has never come forward, plus the differing dates and lack of precise location err this footage on the side of a hoax. If anyone has any information on this footage, leave a comment down below. This astonishing footage baffled government officials for more than 2 years and was officially released to the public in early 2017. This clip was filmed on November 11, 2014 by a Chilean Navy helicopter pilot. An accompanying technician also witnessed the event and was at the time testing an infrared camera. In the footage we see a disc-shaped object trailing across the sky. It flies at a similar altitude and trajectory of the helicopter. At 2 separate times, the UFO discharges a trail of hot liquid. The object could be seen by the naked eye and by infrared camera. However, the helicopter's radar detected no nearby craft. After the technician reported the sighting, air traffic control confirmed that there was no aircraft planned to fly in that airspace at that time, nor could they detect anything flying at that time. The pilot made several attempts to contact the craft using the multinational civilian bandwidth, which is designed for these occasions. There was no answer. An official investigation was launched by the CEFAA, a specialized Chilean government agency which examines UFOs and UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. After an exhaustive inquiry, the agency couldn't come to any definite conclusions. This footage is considered to be some of the most significant UFO footage ever captured. The 2 highly reliable Navy witnesses, the quality footage filmed on military-grade equipment, the fact that it goes for 9 minutes all amounts to some of the most compelling evidence of the existence of extraterrestrials. This footage was captured in mid-2016 by a pilot flying over Chicago, Illinois. In the video we see 3 glowing balls of light. They fly in a triangle formation right next to the plane. The 3 orbs shift about in the air effortlessly before taking off at great speeds towards the bottom of the screen. The maneuverability of the objects is far too agile for it to be other commercial aircraft or even military fighter jets. Reactions to this viral video vary, from reflections on the window, weather phenomenon and lightning, to angels and enlightened flying beings. What do you think this pilot has captured? Could this be proof of aliens from another planet? In early 2011, 2 motorists in Sao Paulo, Brazil captured this startling footage of a UFO hiding behind a cloud. Submitted to a local TV station, G1, the video garnered significant media attention. In the clip we see a floating object hovering just behind a cloud. It holds there for around 60 seconds before taking off in a dazzling light display. The 2 witnesses were gobsmacked at the incident. According to the TV report, the cameraman felt the earth shake the moment the UFO flashed out of sight. However, there was no recorded seismic activity at the time the event took place. Skeptics claim if you analyse frames of the footage right as the truck passes in the clip, there are noticeable alterations that aren't visible to the naked eye. However, the 2 eyewitnesses maintain the authenticity of the footage. A mass UFO sighting occurred in the skies over Cornwall, England in July 2017. Numerous people captured footage of a strange shape-shifting object hovering in the sky. The phenomena happened over several days, with dozens of witnesses reporting the event. The first sighting occurred on Monday, July 18th, when surfer Kiefer Krishnan posted his GoPro footage to Instagram. Photographer Shane House was the second to come forward with amazing footage of the object hovering above the A30 freeway. The UFO seems to shimmer in and out of visibility against the cloudy English sky. Next, a Twitter user by the name of Harry Wild posted his version of events on Fistral Beach. Again, the same strange shimmering shape floating through the sky. Many responded to the tweet, noting that it looked like a swarm of birds or insects drifting through the air. 3 more sightings occurred on the Tuesday, all showing the exact same object in the sky. Many news outlets around England were quick to point out that the footage may be a planned hoax orchestrated by a local conservationist initiative. The Eden Project is a series of gigantic greenhouse domes that house exotic plants and various exhibitions in Cornwall. At the time of the UFO sightings, the Eden Project was hosting an event called Alien Encounter. While they never officially owned up to the publicity stunt, it seems likely that they were the culprits.
Hello, Ham Fam. How you all doing? I just wanted to let you know, last week I sat down with Tim from Super Mayhem and he interviewed me about my life, my gaming habits, and whether I like to be chained or whipped. If you want to find out the answer to that question, you can find a link to the interview in a description box below. One should pop up right here now as well. Check it out, it's a lot of fun. Well, there's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying our content, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new, remember to subscribe because we do stuff like this each and every week. And that's it from me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! The following photos are all hiding dark secrets. From kidnapped North Korean filmmakers to a 5-year-old mother and her baby. Join us as we take a look at 10 real photos that are hiding dark secrets.
At first glance, this photo of 3 men practicing martial arts seems completely normal. But take a closer look at the taller bearded man standing to the right. This is actually a photo of Osama bin Laden. His coach, Jimmy Woo, seen standing in the middle of the photograph, claimed that the 6'4" bin Laden attended judo lessons 2 to 3 times per week, but was too tall to be any good. Woo said he never saw bin Laden again after 1984. This photo was taken by a member of the crowd during the Trooping the Colour ceremony on the 13th of June 1981 in London, England. It shows Queen Elizabeth riding down the Mall on horseback. It seems like the photographer has captured nothing unusual until you notice the way the man standing to the left of the photo is clasping his outstretched hands. The man is Marcus Simon Sargent and he's holding a gun. Sargent fired 6 blank shots at the Queen, who was unharmed by the incident, but the horse she was riding was startled by the shots. Sargent was quickly detained by members of the Scots Guard and local police officers. Prior to the incident, Sargent had written a letter to Buckingham Palace warning of what he was about to do. The letter read, "Your Majesty, don't go on the Trooping the Colour ceremony because there is an assassin set up to kill you waiting just outside the palace." The letter didn't arrive at the palace until 3 days after the incident. It was later revealed that Sargent wanted to become famous and had been inspired by Mark David Chapman, the man who killed John Lennon. He was also fascinated with the assassination attempts on Pope John Paul II and Ronald Reagan. Sargent was sentenced to 5 years in jail but was released after only serving 3. He's since changed his name and begun a new life. This photo of ex-North Korean dictator Kim Jong-il standing between a smiling couple looks innocent enough. The truth is, however, that the couple in this picture were kidnapped by Kim and forced to make movies in North Korea. On January 22, 1978, actress Choi Yun-hee was the first of the pair to be abducted. While on a business trip to Hong Kong, she was taken to North Korea. Held against her will, she was placed in a villa and forced to learn about the life and achievements of Kim Jong-il's father, Kim Il-sung. 6 months later, famous South Korean film director Shin Sang-ok was kidnapped from Hong Kong after going in search of his former wife Choi. Shortly after being detained, Shin was imprisoned for 3 years for attempting to escape from North Korea. Neither Shin nor Choi were told of the fate of the other. Shin was eventually released, and on March 7, 1983, the two were finally reunited at a party hosted by Kim Jong-il. In 1986, after being forced to make films for the North Korean government for nearly a decade, the pair escaped their captors while on a trip to Vienna, managing to make their way to a US embassy. Unless you're a wrestling fan, you probably won't recognise the man in this photo. It is two-time world champion Chris Benoit. The picture was taken by a fan who spotted him in a doctor's office in Carrollton, Georgia. Later that evening, Benoit, who was suffering depression at the time, went home and murdered his wife and 7-year-old son before committing suicide. Testing performed after his death revealed that Benoit's brain resembled that of an 85-year-old Alzheimer's patient. The damage, thought to be caused by years of repeated trauma, was even suggested by some to have led Benoit to murder his family and kill himself. Taken in 1939, this photo appears to show a nurse introducing a newborn baby to their sister for the first time. The truth is, however, the 5-year-old girl lying in bed is actually the mother of the newborn baby boy. Originally thought to have a tumour, Lena Marcela Medina was taken to hospital by her parents after suffering from increased abdominal swelling. Following extensive testing, the doctors confirmed that she was in fact 7 months pregnant. At the age of 5 years, 7 months and 21 days, Medina became the youngest known person in history to give birth, when her son was born by caesarean section on the 14th of May 1939. Her son, named Gerardo after her doctor, was raised until the age of 10 believing that Medina was his sister. It was discovered that Medina's body had undergone sexual maturation at an abnormally young age, a condition known as precocious puberty. Medina's father, Tiburello Medina, was arrested on suspicion of child sexual abuse, but was later released due to lack of evidence. Medina never revealed who the father was, and his identity has never been discovered. In 1972, Medina had her second child, a boy, some 33 years after giving birth to Gerardo. Gerardo died in 1979 of bone disease. He was just 40 years old. This photo was taken during World War II. By the looks on the boys' faces, conflict seems to be the last thing on their mind. The truth is that this moment spent patting a puppy with friends was probably a welcome distraction for what was about to come. The boy in the middle is 17-year-old Yukio Araki, and he was killed the following day. Araki was one of the youngest kamikaze pilots of World War II. He met his end when he flew his twin-engine Takikawa Ki-54 training aircraft into the USS Brain on May 27, 1945, killing 66 of its crew. In accordance with the custom of the kamikaze pilots, Araki clipped his fingernails and cut off a lock of his hair prior to the mission. They were sent to his parents along with a note that read, "Please find pleasure in your desire for my loyalty to the Emperor and devotion to parents. I have no regrets, I just go forward on my path." This photo was taken on the 6th of July 1944. The clown seen to the right of the image is Weary Willie, a famous character played by circus performer Emmett Kelly. He is carrying a bucket of water in one hand as he heads towards a fire. One of the worst fire disasters in the history of the United States, the Hartford Circus Fire occurred during an afternoon performance of the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. As many as 8,000 people were on hand to see the show when a fire broke out near the entrance to the Big Top 20 minutes into the performance. The flames spread quickly, engulfing the tent roof, which was treated with paraffin wax and gasoline, a common waterproofing method at the time. The fire killed 167 people, most of whom were women and children. Kelly, through his quick thinking, managed to save many of the spectators by lifting up the side of the tent and guiding them outside to safety. This is a photo taken outside the Field Marshal's Hall in Munich, Germany, sometime after 1933. The men lined up in the foreground are members of the infamous SS paramilitary unit, taking their oath of loyalty to Adolf Hitler. The SS and its subdivisions were responsible for policing the German people, enforcing Nazi ideology and running the concentration and extermination camps, where an estimated 5.5 to 6 million Jews along with millions of other victims were killed. At the time, all citizens that passed by the Field Marshal's Hall were expected to salute, but those that wanted to bypass the monument could take a nearby street that became known as Shirker's Lane. This is a still taken from an episode of The Dating Game in 1978. The smiling couple are bachelorette Cheryl Bradshaw and Rodney Alcala, the man who beat the other contestants to win a date with Bradshaw. After the show, despite the initial on-camera smiles, Bradshaw decided not to go out with Alcala, saying she found him creepy. Breaking her date with Alcala may have actually saved her life. Alcala was accepted to appear on the dating game despite being a convicted rapist and registered sex offender. Unbeknownst to all, the extent of his crimes were far worse. Rodney Alcala was actually in the middle of a murder spree. It wasn't until Alcala was arrested the following year and found guilty of the murder of 12-year-old Robin Samso that the horrific truth finally came out. After an extensive investigation, Alcala was officially charged with 7 counts of murder committed between 1971 and 1979. However, one homicide investigator familiar with the evidence speculated that the majority of his murders may have gone unsolved. He estimated that Alcala may have killed as many as 50 women, while others have claimed his murder count may be as high as 130. Joe Villapiano was out hiking with his girlfriend Nicole Gergen and brother-in-law Peter Biava when he took this photo of the surrounding bushland. Unbeknownst to Villapiano at the time, he had also photographed another hiker, one barely conscious and clinging to life. The previous day, 22-year-old Sailor Juliams had fallen, fracturing her leg. Her friend, Brendan Vega, who was with her at the time, tried to carry her. He also fell, breaking his elbow and breaking Juliams' ankle. Unable to move, Juliams lay there while Vega went for help. By the time the hikers came through the following day, Juliams was almost unconscious, in pain and exhausted from yelling. It wasn't until Villapiano's girlfriend, Nicole Gergen, noticed Juliams' red hair that they knew someone was down there. Gergen, a 4th-year resident in pediatrics at Hasbro Children's Hospital in Rhode Island, could see Juliams was badly injured and needed immediate medical attention. The group managed to call for help and Juliams was airlifted to Cottage Hospital in Southern California. 2 days after being rescued, Juliams received the terrible news that her friend Brendan Vega had been found dead. It was thought he fell while attempting to get help.
Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you can't get enough of the creepy photos, head on over to one of these 2 playlists right there. You'll definitely get your creep fix. Remember to follow us on all our social medias at SlappedHam. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about the creepiest video games ever developed. From Outlast and the Slender Man games to Resident Evil 7. Join us as we take a look at the 10 scariest video games ever developed. And before we get into it, remember to hit that subscribe button for more awesome creepy content just like this.
A single-player survival horror, Slender the Arrival, was developed by Blue Isle Studios and Parsec Productions. The plot takes place several years after Slender the 8 Pages. The eerie settings of the game include an abandoned house, an abandoned mine, and the woods. In Slender the Arrival, the main character Lauren is going to visit her childhood friend Kate, presumed to be the main character from the prequel. After finding the front door open, the furniture and house wrecked, and disturbing drawings and messages found throughout the house, Lauren hears a woman scream, possibly Kate, and goes to find her friend. It was first released in March 2013 for PC and later released for PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Wii U. Regarded as one of the best first-person shooter games, having traditional firearms but also containing unique superhuman reflexes and abilities, Fear is also one of the freakiest games out there, having been inspired by Japanese horror in its core elements. GameSpy gave it an award for Best Story for Game of the Year award. The main character, Point Man, works for an organisation known as Fear, First Encounter Assault Recon, and is working with others in their team to hunt down Paxton Fattel, who is leading a group of mind-controlled super soldier clones, killing many in their path. While searching for Fattel, the player sees many paranormal phenomena, life-threatening hallucinations, and a frightening young girl in a red dress. A single and multiplayer first-person shooter survival horror game, Fear was developed by Monolith Productions. The game was released in October 2005 for PC and was later released for Xbox 360 and PS3. Labelled as a worthy sequel and a solid horror game that expands the scope of the series, The Evil Within 2 has provided many with plenty of nightmares. The game has been nominated for several awards, however didn't win any. The Evil Within 2 takes place 3 years after the first game. Sebastian Castellanos, the returning main character from the first game, quit the police force and became an alcoholic. After being approached by his old partner and told that his daughter Lily is still alive, he goes to an eerie abandoned town where she was last seen. Using either weapons or stealth, Sebastian must get past monstrous humans, murderous operatives, and many psychopaths to find his daughter. A single-player survival horror game, The Evil Within 2 was developed by Tango Gameworks. Released in October 2017, the game is available for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. A game that makes you not look away from the screen despite the gruesome and dread-filled scenes, players of Outlast 2 can agree that the game is an exhilarating, traumatic experience. The game was nominated for Best Use of Sound in a Franchise. Set in northern Arizona, Blake Langerman, the main character, is a cameraman and investigative journalist. While flying in a helicopter with his wife Lynn, the two begin to report a mysterious murder of a pregnant woman. After an eerie flash of light and the helicopter crashing, Blake looks for his missing wife and discovers she's been kidnapped and taken to an unknown town that's filled with a cult and a nearby mine filled with a rival cult, both of which want Lynn and Blake for their own twisted purposes. Outlast 2 is a first-person single-player survival horror game that was developed by Red Barrels. It was first released in April 2017 for PC and PS4 and Xbox One, and then it was later released for Nintendo Switch in March 2018. Known for its ominous elements and horrifying atmosphere, Amnesia: The Dark Descent is no joke. This game has left even the strong of heart rocking back and forth crying. 4 months after its release, the developer reported almost 200,000 units had been sold. The success became more visible after receiving several awards at the Independent Games Festival. Set in August 1839, a London man named Daniel wakes up with barely any memory and a note written to himself. The note tells him he deliberately erased his own memory and that he's being hunted by a shadow along with other instructions. As he explores the castle, Daniel learns about its mysteries and his own dark past, all the while encountering terrifying monsters that were formerly humans, which he can only run or hide from. Amnesia: The Dark Descent is a first-person single-player survival horror game that was developed by Frictional Games. It was first released in September 2010 for PC. It wasn't until November of 2016 that the game was released on PS4. The most recent masterpiece in the franchise, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, climbed the charts shortly after its release. The game has been highly praised for its anxiety-creating atmosphere, dread-inducing sound design, and use of player involvement. Over 2.5 million units were shipped within days of its release, and the downloads of the demo exceeded 7 million. Since its release, the game has won over 9 awards, including VR Game of the Year. Set in Duvie, Louisiana in 2017, Ethan Winters gets a message from his wife Mia, who has been missing for over 3 years, thought to be dead. Led to a neglected and seemingly abandoned plantation, Ethan soon finds Mia locked in the basement, but after helping her, she becomes increasingly violent and attacks him. Shortly after stopping her, a woman calls him, telling him she can help him escape the house. Mia then returns, though not herself, and gruesomely handicaps Ethan. Mia isn't the only dangerous one here though. Ethan must face humans, monsters, and everything in between to escape with his life, and discover the truth behind everything. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard is a first-person single-player survival horror game that was developed by Capcom. It was first released in January 2017 for PC, PS4 and Xbox One, and it was later released for Nintendo Switch in May 2018. From the opening credits to the heart-pounding ending, Dead Space is a nail-biting, sitting on the edge of your seat, visually striking video game. Winning multiple awards, it truly is a hard-to-beat horror game. Set in 2508 on a planet cracker starship, the USG Ishimura sends out a distress signal. All of the crew, except for engineer Isaac Clarke, Commander Hammond and computer specialist Kendra Daniels, are dead. The Commander and Daniels direct Isaac in fixing the ship, which is filled with disfigured monsters trying to kill them. Dead Space is a unique over-the-shoulder third-person point-of-view single-player science fiction survival horror game. Developed by EA Redwood Shores, it was released in October 2008 for PC, PS3 and Xbox 360. In the same month of its release, Silent Hill 2 sold over 1 million copies. The level of fright, deep plot, and intense immersion of the cutscenes and overall environment amount to incredible reviews and set this game high on this list. The game takes place in the series' namesake town in northeastern United States, though not a direct sequel to the first Silent Hill game. After getting a letter from his dead wife, James Sunderland goes to Silent Hill. There he meets Maria, a woman who looks exactly like his wife, and the two get attacked by monsters. It only gets stranger and more terrifying from then on in as James finds out more about Silent Hill, the monsters, Maria and his dead wife, all the while trying to stay alive. Silent Hill 2 is a third-person point-of-view single-player survival horror game that was developed by Konami Computer and Entertainment Tokyo. It was first released in September 2001 for PS2. Regarded as one of the scariest video games ever made, Alien Isolation is based on the 1979 Alien horror film. The game is highly praised on the likeness and overall accuracy to the environment, sounds and the machines, as well as the art design and how it was not overly futuristic. The game was nominated for over 20 awards and won over a dozen. Set 15 years after the movie, in 2137, Amanda Ripley, daughter of Alan Ripley, is told that they found the flight recorder of her mother's lost ship, the Nostromo. Amanda and the rest of the group go to the station where the recorder was found, however it's damaged. As she discovers more about what happened to her mother, she is trapped on the station with one of the aliens, hiding and trying to escape with her life. Alien Isolation uses a combination of third-person and first-person points of view. The game is a single-player action-adventure, stealth, survival horror that was developed by Creative Assembly. It was released in October 2014 for PC, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360 and Xbox One. Before we get to that number one spot and find out what some consider the scariest video game of all time, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be up to date with all our latest content. Arguably one of the best horror games out there, Outlast is one of the most ghastly, horrifying and overall creepy video games ever made. This game is not for the weak-stomached or the meek. E3 awarded the game, most appropriately, the Most Likely to Make You Faint award and the Best of E3 award. Miles Upshur, a freelance investigative journalist, goes to the Mount Massive Asylum after getting a tip that the patients are being experimented on. Shortly after arriving, he finds the offices ransacked, corpses in rooms and halls, and even a dying SWAT officer. While running and hiding for his life, he finds out what really went on inside the building filled with men and demons. Outlast is a first-person point-of-view single-player survival psychological horror game. The game was developed by Red Barrels and released in September 2013 for PC, then later in 2014 for PS4 and Xbox One.
Well, there's another episode in the can. Thank you so much for watching. Now in the comment section below, let us know if you've played any of these video games. Did we get the order right? Did we miss any good ones? Let us know down below. Hit that upward facing thumb or subscribe if you're new as well. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Poo! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're looking at some really creepy pictures. From a photo of a ghost girl on a ship to an image of a boy who drowned years earlier. Join us as we take a look at 10 photos of ghost children that have everyone scared. And before we get into it, remember to hit that subscribe button for more creepy content just like this.
In 2004, a boy took this photo of his family out the front of their home on a bright summer's day. At first, no one noticed anything unusual about the picture, and it wasn't until sometime later, when the family were thumbing through an old family album, that they realised there was another figure present in the picture. If you take a closer look at the glass oval in the centre of the front door, you can clearly see what appears to be a young girl dressed in white staring out at the family. The family claimed there was no one else in the house at the time the photo was taken, and that the house itself was only 4 years old. They had purchased it just 6 months after it was built and had never heard of a little girl ever living there. They were completely baffled by the image. The figure has a pale, featureless face and looks strangely out of place, dressed in a long flowing gown on a hot summer's day. Some who have seen the picture believe that the little girl may be a spirit that is somehow attached to the house, while others have suggested that it could be a long-lost deceased relation of the family. What do you think it could be? Love to hear your opinion in the comments section below. This photo was taken by a couple whose cat kept hissing at the patio door. Every time they got up to inspect, there didn't seem to be anything there. They decided to take a photo to see if they could catch whatever it was the cat was hissing at. When they uploaded the image to their computer, they couldn't believe what they had captured. In the photo, there appears to be a little girl staring into the house. She is pale and vapour-like and looks to be wearing some sort of period dress. The cat looks as though it can clearly see the ghostly figure as it arches its back, hissing at the window. Many believe that animals can see things that humans can't, and that they have a heightened sensitivity to the paranormal. The couple, who are obviously shaken by the photo, said they had no idea who the little girl was. The house was believed to be very old, so it's possible that the mysterious figure may have once been a resident. Whatever it is the couple have captured in this photo, I'm sure they'll pay closer attention to where their cat is looking from now on. When a young woman took a series of photos of her son, she was shocked to discover she had captured something more. Over the boy's right shoulder, you can clearly see a dark figure walking across the carpet. The figure is about the size of the boy, and if you look closely, you can make out legs, which even cast a shadow across the floor. The apparition has no distinguishable facial features, and you can see the sofa straight through it. When the image first appeared online, skeptics suggested that the ghostly figure could be simply another child that had been blurred by the camera's slow shutter speed. The woman said it wasn't possible, however, as there was no one else in the house at the time the photos were taken. What do you think this photo was captured? Has the young mother actually photographed a ghost child walking around her living room? This photo was captured by a woman in Dartmoor, England in 2002. At first glance, there doesn't appear to be anything strange about it. That is until you hear the chilling backstory. The woman was sitting in her car with her partner watching the ponies in a nearby field when she decided to take some photos. It was raining outside, so she leaned out the window of the car to get the picture. When the pair reviewed their photos later that evening, they were stunned to see a young girl with blonde hair patting the horse. The woman claimed that there was no one else in the area at the time the photo was taken, and they had definitely not seen a young girl in the field. If you take a closer look at the girl in the image, you can see that her arm is unusually thin and she has long wispy fingers draped down the side of the horse. The area where this picture was taken is infamous for strange ghost sightings. In the 1920s, a series of fatal accidents occurred along a nearby stretch of road. One survivor told authorities that as he was travelling along the road, he suddenly felt a pair of rough, hairy hands wrench at the steering wheel, causing him to swerve off the road. Another couple reported being attacked by a ghostly hand while camping in the area, that only disappeared after the woman used her fingers to make the sign of the cross. Over time, these and other bizarre sightings have become known as the ghostly hands of Dartmoor. Could it be possible that this budding photographer has actually captured proof that there is ghosts haunting the area? In 2017, a group of women on a hen's party captured these two photos at a remote estate in Scotland. When the images were posted to Reddit, they immediately caused a stir. In the second picture, which was taken just moments after the first, you can clearly see a small boy on the left-hand side staring at the group from behind the chopped logs. After the group looked at the images, they were supposedly so frightened by what they saw that they left the area immediately. Several of the girls did some investigating and discovered that a young boy had died while staying at the nearby Coilette Hotel with his mother. He was said to have drowned after sleepwalking into the murky waters of the lake. According to the owners of the hotel, the boy's presence can still be felt in room 4, and guests have reported belongings going missing and being moved. Some even claim to have seen mysterious wet footprints on the floor as the boy searches the hallways for his mother. Since the child's tragic drowning, he's become known to locals as the Blue Boy, because that's the colour his skin was by the time they eventually pulled him out of the lake. In 2013, a woman by the name of Luann Sakuro claimed that she had experienced many strange things while living in her Ravenna, Ohio residence. Sakuro, who had lived in the house for more than 20 years, said that she had heard the mysterious voice of a child and believed that the ghost of a young girl was roaming her hallways at night time. She'd even heard strange noises coming from her closets and doorknobs jiggling. This photo was taken by her son some years earlier, and it appears to show a ghostly, childlike face peering out of one of the living room windows. After seeing this photo, Sakuro said, "I feel that this image is a very good photo of something paranormal caught on camera. A very disturbing photo. It appears to be an image of a child. I believe the image in the photograph shows what's in our home." Is this photo evidence that Luann Sakuro's house is actually haunted by a ghost of a little girl? What do you think this photo was captured? Let us know in the comments section below. When this photo first appeared online, it immediately attracted significant attention. The woman and her daughter are posing for a picture in front of the famous ship the Star of India, docked at the Maritime Museum in San Diego Harbor. The photo, which was taken by the woman's father, looks to have captured a young girl dressed in white on the outer side of the guard railing. The woman claims that her father waited for all passerbys to move before taking the photo, and that no members of her family could remember seeing the girl at the time. Making the photo even more unsettling is the fact that on the other side of the guardrail there's a 6-foot drop straight into the harbour below. Who is this mysterious girl, and how is she managing to stay afloat above the water? Could it be the ghost of a child that tragically died at sea? Love to hear what you think is going on in this photo. This photo was taken by a young boy who woke up in the middle of the night and thought his sister was playing a prank on him. He soon realised that it wasn't his sister who was staring at him through the door as she was still upstairs sleeping. The girl's skin is pale and she has a lifeless look on her face. She also appears to be wearing a long dress that would look more at home in the 1800s. When the boy screamed, the eerie figure was said to have disappeared from the hallway. When this unnamed parent checked her baby monitor to make sure her son was sleeping, she got a horrible fright. She quickly grabbed her phone and captured this image. Next to her sleeping son is the disembodied face of another child staring straight into the baby monitor. When this photo first surfaced, skeptics were quick to discredit it by saying that the face could simply belong to a brother or sister who had crept into the crib through the night. However, the woman was quick to mention that the sleeping boy was an only child, and that there was no other children at the house at the time. Other viewers also pointed out that even if the face did belong to another child, how did they manage to climb into the sleeping boy's crib? And more importantly, where is the child's body? Before we get to that number one spot and take a look at a truly terrifying photo of a ghost child, remember to hit subscribe and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be up to date with all our latest creepy content. In February 2017, a council official in the Spanish town of Vegas del Ganil captured this unsettling image in the local town hall. The photo shows what appears to be a young girl standing in the middle of the hallway. The official, who was working through the night, claimed that he suddenly felt the air in his office become very cold. When he got up to go to the bathroom, he heard a strange sound coming from the end of the corridor. Fearing that there were thieves in the building, he decided to use his phone to take a photo. He briefly glanced at the image and saw that there was no one there. However, when he reviewed the photo sometime later, he noticed that he had captured what appeared to be a young girl staring back at him. The man showed the picture to several of his colleagues who admitted to having similar experiences while working in the building. The staff urged the mayor of the town to hire a priest or ghost hunters to investigate, but the mayor remained skeptical of the claims, saying, "How can I justify hiring a medium when I have residents without electricity?" If you're enjoying our content, then consider supporting us on Patreon. Patreon helps creators like us continue to make interesting indie content. So if you've ever been entertained by our videos, then why not show some love and support us now? In return, you'll also get some awesome exclusive rewards, like regular shoutouts across our social media, pitch ideas for lists, get shoutouts at the end of our YouTube videos, or get a custom voice clip of me saying whatever you like. If you're interested, there's a link to our Patreon page in the description box below.
Well, that's the end of another episode. In the comments section below, let us know which of these photos scared the bejeebers out of you. Remember to subscribe if you're new, or hit that upward facing thumb, it really helps us out. And that's it for me, I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about some really creepy places in India. From a wizard that cursed an entire fort to ruin, to an allegedly haunted witch's haven. Join us as we take a look at the 10 most haunted places in India. And before we get into it, remember to hit that subscribe button for more creepy content just like this.
The 33rd tunnel of the Shimla-Kolkata train line is thought by many to be haunted. The tunnel is old and dark, and some visitors say they've felt very uncomfortable while visiting it. It's as though they're being watched by some unseen force from the shadows of the abyss. Captain Barrog, who was a British engineer in charge of the construction of the shaft in 1898, struggled to manage the project. Due to a variety of problems such as poor management, money and exceeded deadlines, he was unable to finish the build. The construction company back in Britain that was responsible for the rail line ended up fining Captain Barrog for his negligence. In effect, this ruined Barrog's career and left his reputation in tatters. So much so, he ended up killing himself out of disgrace. Due to the horrific nature of his death, some say his spirit lingers on in the 33rd tunnel of the Shimla-Kolkata train line, destined to haunt the area for all eternity. However, there are reports that the captain's spirit isn't an angry one. Some locals have been seen chatting to thin air as though in conversation with this benevolent ghost. While the captain's lingering spirit may be seen as good, there are tales of slightly more sinister hauntings around the area. Some have witnessed a woman covered in blood, screaming, rushing inside the shaft and then disappearing. When witnesses run to help, there's no evidence of a woman whatsoever. Perhaps it's a sign of a tragic event, a soul that cries out for help, begging for resolution. Just like the previous story, many paranormal events throughout India tell of good spirits that intend to help those in need. One such story follows the wife of a British Army officer, Mary Rebecca, who was near the end of her pregnancy when she suddenly became ill and perished. She was buried in Dagshai Cemetery. As a memorial, Rebecca's husband, British Major George Oswald Weston, created a marble statue of a woman and her baby receiving blessings in the lap of an elf. The pleasant sculpture is thought to bring good luck. Some wives of Indian Army officers believe the marble sculpture brings fertility and good fortune, bestowing all those who visit a healthy baby boy. Next up on the list of top places in India to see paranormal beings, particularly in the north, is the GP block in Meerut in the state of Uttar Pradesh, India. The dilapidated block of buildings are commonly viewed in a reluctant light due to the copious ghost sightings. Many residents have seen visions of maids in red gowns and souls of men drinking inside the block. They say the men sit around a single candle in the shadows of the abandoned building. The strange thing is that none of the bystanders can make out the proper identity of these beings. The alleged ghosts often vanish right as people approach them. Villagers are too frightened to walk the path that trails past these old, overgrown houses. Countless reports have been filed with the police saying that there are trespassers living in the buildings. But every time they've been investigated, there's no evidence at all that people are squatting in the abandoned houses. The Writers' Building is a secretariat building located in West Bengal's capital city of Calcutta. It was the site of a gruesome shootout in 1930, in which 3 Indian patriots gunned down Colonel N.S. Simpson, a notoriously brutal Inspector General for the police. It was a potent political statement aimed at the British government, warning that their rule in India was coming to an end. Legend has it that the Colonel's ghost lingers on in the darkened halls of the writer's building. Employees often report horrible shrieks coming from empty rooms. Banging and loud, inexplicable footsteps are almost a common occurrence. Some of the rooms, particularly on the 3rd floor, have interns working here spooked. Every time they enter the stationery supply room, they report feelings of dread wash over them. Nausea and headaches often follow, then a sense of malaise seems to latch onto them for up to several days. Locals consider the building one of the most haunted places in India and often avoid visiting if possible. In 2002, it was reported that a burglar found 3 dead bodies in a house known as Kundanbagh in Hyderabad, India. A local newspaper said that the burglar snuck into the 2-level house looking for valuables to steal, when he discovered 3 corpses in the master bedroom. Terrified by what he had found, the burglar admitted to police about what he had done just so he could alert them about the bodies. Police identified the bodies to be a mother and her 2 daughters who owned the property. Forensic records confirmed the time of death to be about 6 months before the burglar had entered the house. Interestingly enough, the next-door neighbours claimed to have seen the mother and her 2 children roaming around the deck and burning torches in the home regularly at midnight, right up to the day the burglar entered the premises. Locals say that the family kept to themselves and rarely ventured outside their property. Neighbours said they saw the 2 young daughters playing with a bottle of blood in their front yard. Others think strange rituals were performed in the house, leading some to speculate that the mother was a witch. Sometime after the incident, 2 men got into a motorbike accident out the front of the property when their headlights inexplicably turned off, causing the crash. They said a very eerie feeling came over them as they noticed the large gate that protects the Kundanbagh mansion. The property now sits abandoned and overgrown. Police conduct regular patrols to make sure no one enters the site. Malcha Mahal is an ancient hunting ground built in 1325 by Firuz Shah Tughlaq. During the early 1980s, a bitter legal battle began between Princess Wilayat Mahal, part of the last of the descendants from the noble bloodline of Oud, and the Indian government. The local government seized ownership of Malcha Mahal, but Princess Mahal claimed that she was the rightful owner of the property. After a lengthy 7-year dispute, the princess was finally awarded rightful ownership. This is where things go a little strange. Over the years, the once royal estate had become overgrown and dilapidated. Several of the buildings on the property were all but in crumbling ruin. Trees had grown through roofs and roots had displaced floorboards and tiling. It was hardly fit for a princess and her family. Despite the state of the property, Princess Mahal moved in with her 2 daughters. They lived a secluded existence away from the public eye, without modern comforts and no electricity. Little is known about what took place over the subsequent years, but locals believe the princess slowly turned mad. On the 10th of September 1993, Princess Mahal committed suicide at the age of 62 by consuming crushed diamonds. The daughters placed the body of their dead mother upright at the study desk, leaving it there for 10 days. Since the incident, locals have reported strange sightings in and around the property. They say they've seen shadow figures moving around inside the buildings, lights turning on and off, despite the property being completely deserted. One young boy said he saw Princess Mahal standing in the driveway of the estate. She stared at him blankly, turned around, took several steps, then vanished into nothing. Ramoji Film City in Hyderabad, India is an enormous film studio complex spread over 1,666 acres. It's used by dozens of production crews and is considered one of the most haunted places in India. Legend has it that the city is built on an ancient war ground where thousands of soldiers lost their lives. Today, visitors report the sound of marching footsteps and loud battle cries coming from nowhere. The distinct clash of steel swords can often be heard in one of the courtyards of the property. One actress fell into hysteria after she claims to have seen a man standing behind her in the mirror. She said he was wearing traditional attire and was grinning eerily at her. When she screamed, nearby members of the crew rushed in to see the actress trembling on the ground. She said a man was in the room, but after an exhaustive search, no one could be found. Film crews often report inexplicable equipment failure. Stage lights have been known to crash to the ground despite numerous safety checks. Lighting crews say they're worried for their safety. Some have said they've felt strong pushes in the back when working high up in the rafters. An unusual amount of stuntmen have suffered near-fatal wounds while working in the Ramogi film city. Females particularly seem to experience eerie things while on the property. Some have said they've felt their dresses being ripped off by a mystical energy or have been locked in rooms from the outside. There's even been ancient languages found scrawled on mirrors and walls with no explanation. Tourists now flock to the city in a hope to see or experience something in the realm of the paranormal. The Savoy Hotel in Mussoorie, India is a stunning luxury hotel that is believed to be haunted. In 1911, a mysterious murder case took place on the grounds of the hotel. As it happened, a spiritualist by the name of Francis Garnett Orme was staying at the property with an associate, Ava Mount Stephen, who frequently ran seances to contact the dead. One morning after Mount Stephen left the hotel, Garnett Orme was found dead in her room. No one could explain what had happened. There was no sign of forced entry or struggle, and her door was locked from the inside. The autopsy later revealed she had been poisoned with cyanide. Further still, the doctor that had been assigned to investigate the case mysteriously died of strychnine poisoning, a highly toxic alkaloid that is often seen in assassinations. Mount Stephen was later arrested for suspicion of murder. It's alleged she tampered with Garnett Orme's sodium bicarbonate bottle, adding poison to it. However, she was found not guilty in court. The unsolved murder inspired Agatha Christie's first novel in 1920, The Mysterious Affair at Styles. The legend goes that Rudyard Kipling asked Sir Arthur Conan Doyle to write about the murder. The famous author never looked into the case, but instead suggested it to Agatha Christie. Some historians think that Garnett Orme's spirit now wanders the grounds of the Savoy Hotel looking for her killer. Guests often report strange occurrences around the grounds of the hotel. Objects move on their own, doors slam shut, and running can be heard along the hallways in the middle of the night. The room where the murder took place is notoriously cold. Guests say they have terrible nightmares while sleeping in the room and have a feeling of always being watched. Some people think that Mount Stephen held a seance the night before the murder took place and invoked evil spirits into Garnett Orme's room, possibly causing her death. Jatinga is a small town in Assam, India. It's home to an eerie phenomena where thousands of birds each year commit suicide. Despite significant research by some of India's top ornithologists, the event remains a mystery. On dark, foggy and moonless nights between 6 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. during the monsoon months of September and October, thousands of birds fly to their death. For an unknown reason, they become disturbed and descend upon the villages, slamming into buildings and other structures, dying instantly. Locals believe the birds are commanded by evil spirits, and as such have erected sharp bamboo poles which also contribute to the killing of the flocks of birds. Creepier still, this event only occurs in an area 1500 by 200 meters. Experts have suggested that the birds become disorientated in the fog and are attracted to the lights of the village. However, the event remains largely a mystery, as no one has been able to explain why it happens under such specific conditions each and every year. Before we get to the number one spot and find out what's been voted the most haunted destination in India, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be up to date with all our latest creepy content. Bangar Fort in Rajasthan is often voted as the most haunted place in India and has become a major tourist destination for those seeking paranormal experiences. The site is considered so haunted and dangerous that the government forbids access from sunset to sunrise. There are actually signs warning tourists not to visit during the night. Legend has it that a powerful wizard by the name of N.K. Sinai became enamored by Princess Ratnavati. He became so obsessed that he decided to employ the use of magic to gain her admiration. But as the princess learned more about his sinister intentions, she commanded his death. Prior to the wizard's demise, he damned the citizens of the fortress to ruin. Shortly after, the fort was invaded by the Mughal Empire. Up to 10,000 people, including the princess, were killed in a bloody and brutal battle. Ever since the curse was placed on the fort, none of the buildings have been able to be restored. Every time a roof is placed on any part of the fort, it mysteriously collapses, often injuring workers. Today, locals believe that the wizard's evil presence can still be felt in the crumbling fort. It's thought that he haunts the halls looking for the spirit of Princess Ratnavati, who is also damned to eternally wander the grounds.
Fresh pants, please. That was a little bit terrifying. Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying our content, hit that upward facing thumb, subscribe if you're new, or leave us a comment down below. We love reading them. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're looking at mysterious crop formations. From the Chilbolton Observatory incident to encoded messages from outer space. Join us as we take a look at 10 crop circles that have left authorities baffled.
This crop circle was found in Hampshire, England on the 17th of July 1997. It's of particular note as it's the first known crop circle to depict an insect, in this case an ant. The ant crop circle became so famous that copycat hoaxers have tried replicating the design in various fields around the world, but none come close to the intricate and precise nature of the original. Researcher Jonah O'Have claims to have visited as many as 60 crop formation sites, but ranks this one among his favourites. This enormous crop formation appeared on the 7th of August 2009 in southern Holland. It depicts a modified version of Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. The man in the centre of the image has outstretched arms that span into delicate butterfly wings. The imprint is incredibly large, measuring 530 metres by 450 metres. Some analysts believe this crop circle represents a shift in human consciousness. However, they're baffled as to how this crop circle was created. The sheer scale and dimension of the piece is enormous, and considering that it appeared overnight, it's left many people scratching their heads. This crop circle is considered by many researchers to be one of the finest ever documented. Discovered on the morning of July 23, 1997, this crop formation has such intricate detail that it's left farmers in the area stunned. The formation represents a Koch snowflake, a complex fractal design created by Swedish mathematician Helge von Koch. The centre of the pattern has a large section of flattened wheat. The crop has been compressed in such a way that the image has a three-dimensional aspect to it. First-hand witnesses reported that the floor pattern of the crop looked like water. It had a strange fluidity to it. Individual blades of the crop were layered underneath one another, with each section changing direction to define the 6 individual arms of the pattern. Who or what could create such a sophisticated design in such a short period of time? This intricate crop circle appeared overnight in August 2016 in a field of wheat in Wiltshire, UK, with no evidence of construction. The stunning design measures 100 metres, which is around 330 feet, spanning 2 acres and features 20 unique symbols. It was discovered early Friday morning in what's known as a crop circle hotspot on the county borders of Wiltshire and Dorset. Analysts were quick to point out the striking resemblance to the logo of American bong manufacturer Mothership Glass. The central leaf motif and outer emblems have all appeared in some form in the company's marketing. Locals said it was one of the most impressive crop formations to have appeared in the region in years. The owner of the field, Karen Price, said she had never seen anything like it before, and insisted she had no idea how the pattern was created. She noted how busy the farm normally is, saying, "There are people out in the fields around here all the time, working, harvesting and picking, so nobody would have particularly noticed anyone working in the field." Hugh Newman, an ancient histories researcher, documented the crop circle with a drone. He said it was one of the most remarkable formations he'd ever seen, and while there were similarities to Mothership Glass's logo, it's still a spectacular piece of art. Was this crop formation created by an enamoured Mothership Glass user, or was it perpetrated by the company themselves? Here's an example of a non-mysterious human-made crop circle that was publicly documented for a shameless bit of promotion. The Firefox crop circle was created by Mozilla video interns in August 2006 in an oat field in Amity, Oregon. The enormous 67-metre, which is around 220 feet formation, was planned in 2 weeks and executed in just under 24 hours. A team of 12 people stomped out the pattern from 3:30 PM to 2:30 AM, with some final preparations completed at 11 AM the following morning. The crop was in rural farmland, making the pattern practically invisible on ground, but unmissable from the air. This well-documented formation is a great example that crop circles can be made with remarkable speed and precision by just a handful of people. In 1974, scientists sent the Arecibo message into outer space. The encoded broadcast contained basic information about Earth and human life, like the numbers 1 to 10, DNA sequencing, and a map of our solar system. This message was intended to be received by extraterrestrials. In 2001, a startling series of crop circles began appearing next to the Chilbolton Observatory in Stockbridge, UK. One formation seemed to show a humanoid face, while the other represented the binary broadcast of the Arecibo message. However, certain parts of the message had been altered. Instead of information about human DNA and our solar system, the modified message contained data detailing a different star system and something else's genetic makeup. Was the Arecibo message received by aliens as intended, and have they broadcast this modified version back to Earth in an effort to make first contact? This distinct crop circle appeared in August 2002 in a field near Winchester in Hampshire, UK. The formation depicts a large grey alien face with a disc shape on the right. When cryptologists analysed the image, they realised that the circle was actually binary code that had an encrypted message embedded in it. The message reads, "Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain but still time. Believe. There is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing. Bell sound." Skeptics have noted that the alien face is too familiar looking, almost like a cartoon depiction of aliens. They've also pointed out, while the message is in binary, it's a very simple message, one that doesn't seem to match the prowess of a race of interstellar travellers. Others think that perhaps the message was created by a covert government organisation that is privy to top secret information regarding alien life. Whatever the case may be, this formation remains one of the most mysterious crop circles ever discovered and continues to baffle authorities even today. This is one of the largest crop circles ever discovered, and it has officials baffled. Discovered in Milk Hill, a rural area of Wiltshire, UK, this enormous formation spans 238 metres, which is around 780 feet. It features 409 circles which form what's known as a triskelion, a pattern of 3 interlocking spirals. The ancient symbol has been noted in several cultures across the world, dating back thousands of years. When the owner of the crop first discovered the creation, he was stunned at what he saw. The formation is so intricate and detailed, he was certain he would have seen someone or something in the field the night it was created. The crop pattern is so large that it took researchers more than half an hour just to find the centre of it. Crop circle enthusiasts, or croppers as they're often referred to, regard the Milk Hill discovery as one of the finest examples of an inexplicable field formation. It is often cited in documentaries and has perplexed the community since 2001. This is one of the most puzzling crop circles ever discovered. In July 1996, this enormous pattern was discovered in a field adjacent to the famous Neolithic monument Stonehenge. The imprint is an intricate fractal design known as a Julia set, a combination of complex numbers that don't converge to any limit. The curious thing about this crop circle is the way it seemed to appear out of nowhere in broad daylight. Stonehenge, which is just meters from the discovery, has a near constant stream of tourists and is under 24-hour watch by security guards. No one reported seeing any activity in the neighbouring field. The A303 highway slices right between the field and Stonehenge. Motorists travel the busy road day and night, yet no one witnessed any activity in the field. Several drivers did, however, report an unusual mist hanging in the meadow. Stranger still, busy nearby Thruxton Airport often runs tourist flights over Stonehenge. On the day of discovery, a pilot claims he was flying over Stonehenge late Sunday afternoon and didn't notice anything unusual in the fields below. Just 45 minutes later, on his return run, he spotted the enormous 274 metre, which is around 900 feet, shape below. This suggests that someone or something managed to create the elaborate crop circle in plain sight in under 45 minutes without any witnesses whatsoever. This crop circle has been hailed as the most complex formation ever discovered in the UK. This nuanced pattern was imprinted into a field of barley in 2008 in Wiltshire. As usual, the mysterious shape appeared overnight with little to no evidence as to how it got there. Crop circles often appear near ancient monuments and tend to have very complex mathematical codes embedded into their structure. This one was spotted near Barbary Castle, an Iron Age hill fort above Wroughton Wilts. When the crop circle was examined by astrophysicists, they were dumbfounded by what they saw. The formation is 45 metres wide, which is around 150 feet, and has the first 10 digits of pi coded into the pattern. Michael Reed, the astrophysicist sent to investigate the formation, said, "The 10th digit has even been correctly rounded up. The little dot near the centre is the decimal point. The code is based on 10 angular segments, with radial jumps being the indicator of each segment. Starting at the centre and counting the number of 1/10 segments in each section contained by the change in radius clearly shows the value of the first 10 digits in the value of pi." How is it that such a precise and intricate design can be imprinted into a field within a matter of hours without any witnesses? Even if it was formed by humans, the genius and craftsmanship required to create such a geometric composition is boggling. Love to hear your thoughts on how it was made in the comments section below.
Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. Now, if you're enjoying our content, remember to share it across social media, hit that upward facing thumb, or leave us a comment down below. We love reading them. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slap time.
7 eerie abandoned places you have to see. From an abandoned sugar factory to a replicated Paris, join us as we take a look at 7 eerie abandoned places you just have to see. Chengdu City, China. While technically not an abandoned city, Chengdu in China has very few inhabitants. Architecturally modelled off Paris, this gated community seems like a ghost town in comparison to the real Paris, France. Construction began in 2007 with the intent to lure settlers out of the countryside with the promise of a little European romance. While few countrysiders seem to have been persuaded, only time will tell if the Chinese take to this unusual French oasis. The Domino Sugar Refinery. This hauntingly beautiful building is the abandoned Domino Sugar Factory in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. After operation ceased in 2004, this mighty complex was left to decay, creating an eerie backdrop against the East River. This refinery, looking like a fortress from some end-of-the-world movie, has recently received the go-ahead to be turned into residential housing. Miranda Castle, Belgium. Miranda Castle was built in 1866 by an English architect under the commission from the Liederkirk Beaufort family. The family's descendants remained in the castle until World War II, when it was taken over and converted into an orphanage. It remained an orphanage until 1980, after which it fell into disrepair. As the cost to maintain the property was far too high, no investors have come forward, so this creepy old orphanage remains completely abandoned even today. Hashima Island, Nagasaki, Japan. Hashima Island served as a coal mining facility from 1887 to 1974. Known as Battleship Island due to its likeness of a Japanese battleship upon the seas, this eerie abandoned place was once home to more than 5,250 inhabitants. The island is covered with eroding high-rise block-style apartments and a large seawall around the perimeter. Hashima Island served as inspiration for the hideout of Bond villain Raoul Silva in Skyfall. No actual filming took place on the island, however, as a large set was built in Pinewood Studios, England. The Mir Mine. Located in eastern Siberia, Russia, the Mir Mine is the second largest excavated hole in the world. At 525 meters deep, it's also the fourth deepest. When diamonds were discovered in the area in 1955, construction began shortly after on this gigantic open-air mine and outlying buildings. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, in 1991 the Saka Diamond Company took over operations, reporting annual profits in excess of $600 million from diamond sales. Eventually this huge mine was closed completely in 2011. The SS America, Fuerteventura, Canary Islands. The SS America was built in 1940 for the United States Lines. During its career, it saw many roles, including a troop transport and passenger liner. During a tow in 1993, the deteriorating vessel ran aground in Fuerteventura in the Canary Islands. It has stayed there until this day, slowly eroding in the pounding surf. The wreck is now only visible in low tide. Pripyat, Ukraine. Founded in 1947, Pripyat once had a population of more than 49,000 people. It was evacuated shortly after the Chernobyl disaster in 1986. Totally abandoned for many years, Pripyat and the outlying areas are now surrounded by military guards and police. Since 2005, it is possible to take guided tours of the town as radiation levels have dramatically fallen and are now considered to be within a safe level. Recently, Pripyat has served as inspiration for several levels on the popular Call of Duty video game series. In the 2013 film A Good Day to Die Hard, part of the story is based in and around the city. An entire deserted town is truly worthy of our #1 spot for eeriest abandoned places. Well, hey, I sure would love to visit some of these places in person. As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you're enjoying the content, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new to our channel, why not hit subscribe? We have new content coming out each and every week. And this is the Slapper Shining Wolf.
From a cottage that smells like burning flesh to 15 people all saying they saw a ghost at once. Join us as we take a terrified look at Australia's most haunted places.
The building that houses the National Film and Sound Archive in Canberra was once the Australian Institute of Anatomy, where human body parts were preserved for research. It's this direct link to death that gives this property the title of one of the most haunted places in Australia. It is believed that the hundreds of body parts that were once housed here have imparted their spirit and still haunt the place today. People say that ghosts still wander the hallways and reports of strange sounds and whispers are not uncommon. The downstairs corridor that once housed human skulls is said to be the hub of some major paranormal activity. A contractor claims he was pinned against a wall by some invisible force while doing some routine work at the property. Boggo Road Jail was once home to some of the country's toughest inmates and criminals. Until 1913, it included an execution chamber. It also housed Ellen Thompson, the only woman ever to be hanged in Queensland. Now running as a historic site, tourgoers often report hearing strange screams and noises, and seeing people standing in abandoned hallways. Given its long and dark history, Boggo sure does have some creepy ghost tales surrounding it. One ghost tour guide, who's responsible for taking hundreds of tourists through the facility each year, recalls the night up to 15 people saw a strange shadowy figure standing by a gate. At first, one man spotted the entity and notified the guide. Seconds later, the majority of the group agreed that there was indeed something standing just meters from them. No one else was in the locked facility apart from the tour group. A young boy became so distressed by what he saw that he began to vomit uncontrollably. The Princess Theatre in Melbourne is said to be haunted by a former performer who died during a performance. In March 1888, baritone Frederick Frederici was performing a rendition of Faust in which he played Mephistopheles. In the final act, Mephistopheles and Faust are lowered into the gates of hell through a trapdoor in the stage. However, as soon as Federici was lowered, he suffered a heart attack and died on the spot. What's surprising and creepy at the same time is that even though Federici died before the play ended, he was allegedly seen thanking the audience at the end of the play with the remaining cast. Notable actors such as Burt Newton, Marina Pryor and Lisa McCune all claim they've had a run-in with Federici. To this day, the theatre reserves a front row seat for him for all opening night performances. The entire town of Picton in New South Wales is reportedly one of Australia's most haunted places. Famous ghost tours used to run through the town during the late 90s to around 2011, when council restriction forced them to close down. The abandoned Redbank Range train tunnel is a hive of reported paranormal activity. The mountain underpass is 180 metres of pitch black nothing. The high number of suicides and murders that have taken place near the tunnel forced its closure in 1919. People often report light and shadows around the tunnel's entrance, strange cold winds and screams. Emily Bollard, a young teen who committed suicide here, is often seen wandering around late at night before disappearing into the nearby forest. The Devil's Pool in Babinda, far north Queensland may seem like a stunning natural swimming pool, but it's actually extremely dangerous and has claimed at least 17 lives. Ancient Aboriginal stories tell of a woman who committed suicide here after she was separated from the love of her life. It's said that her ghost still haunts the area and has been known to attract men towards the deadly pool of water. Since 1959, this place has claimed 17 lives, all but one have been male. While reckless behaviour and dangerous undercurrents are a contributing factor to the deaths, it's eerie that so many have been men. With all the tourists, businessmen and hikers falling afoul here, it's easy to wonder about the siren's call luring so many men to their death. The Seppetsfield Winery in the Barossa Valley has become known as one of the most haunted places in South Australia. A former owner of the winery reportedly went insane after spending long periods of time in his private retreat, hidden behind a trophy cellar. Guests often report sensations of someone watching them. Others have said they've heard
a super chat. Wow.
gunshots and screams from the vineyards. An old distillery tower has been heard in full production despite no connected electricity. There have been moans and whispers and even reports of blood seeping from the family mausoleum on the anniversary of family deaths. This small parish just west of Sydney is said to be haunted by the spirits of twin boys. After a prank with fire went horribly wrong, the two boys were burnt alive. It's said that their spirits become enraged whenever a fire is lit near the church. Many visitors have said that their car headlights will inexplicably turn off when approaching the old church. Some say their cars have stalled altogether, leaving them in pitch black near the haunted parish. The Fremantle Arts Centre in Western Australia is said to be one of the most actively haunted places in the Southern Hemisphere. Originally built as an insane asylum in 1861, this foreboding Gothic landmark has a rather sordid history. The building was built entirely by convicts. In its heyday, the institution housed thousands of inmates, including an unusually high amount of women. After numerous questionable deaths, the local government recommended it be shut down. During World War II, it was converted into a base for US forces. In the late 1960s, the site was commissioned to become a museum for the local area. Since then, numerous ghost hunters have investigated the site. They claim that there may be up to 10 spirits that haunt the halls of this former asylum. Reports of whispers, objects moving, cold spots and spectres are not uncommon for the Fremantle Arts Centre. Anthony Gritzelka, also known as Australia's Ghost Whisperer, claims he saw a full-figure apparition while staying the night in one of the cells. It was a sinister force that seemed to him to be a former warden. He said the air grew cold and he felt very uneasy. It was later revealed that several security guards refused to enter that part of the centre after a couple said they were pushed down the stairs by an unseen force. Another tale tells of a young girl who was accidentally locked in one of the cells. She pleaded to be let out and screamed for help, and as she did so, witnesses claimed that every window in the area started vibrating violently as doors opened and closed over and over. Blundell's Cottage in Canberra is so old that the city it's located in didn't even exist when it was first built in 1858. In 1892, former owner Flora Blundell was wearing a white crinoline dress that caught fire from a hot iron. She tragically burnt to death. It is said that she's often seen in a nearby garden standing in the same white dress looking at the house. Frequent tour groups have reported that the house sometimes smells like burnt flesh. Built in 1885, the Monte Cristo homestead is considered one of the most haunted places in Australia. Located in Junee, New South Wales, about 3 hours west of Canberra, this old homestead has some chilling stories attached to it. The current owner, Olive Ryan, who moved in 50 years ago, said she knew there was something strange about the place very early on. When Miss Ryan and her late husband first drove to the property, the house was completely lit up despite no electricity connected to the home. Miss Ryan has often felt disembodied hands, heard footsteps in an empty house, and felt the presence of former owners. Many mysterious deaths have occurred on this property. Guests have reported strange lights late at night in the barn. It is said that a boy was burned alive in the horse stables, his screams still heard today. Another incident took place in the 60s when a gardener was shot dead by a young boy who was obsessed with the film Psycho. Another tale tells of a housemaid who dropped a baby down a staircase. She claims it was pushed out of her arms by an unseen force. Another housemaid committed suicide while pregnant, jumping off the second floor balcony. Visitors often feel like they're being watched or have seen shadow figures out the corner of their eye. There's even tales of a former housekeeper that kept his mentally unstable son in the outhouse for over 30 years. Tragedy lingers in the air at Monte Cristo homestead, murder and sadness imprinted on the property, perhaps forcing the souls of the dead to drift eternally through the halls of this old mansion.
Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you can't get enough of the chilling content, then take your pick out of these two videos. Remember to follow us on all our socials at SlappedHam, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! From a collection dedicated to noodles in Japan to a museum that showcases toilets. Join us as we take a look at the 10 strangest museums around the world.
The Shin Yokohama Ramen Museum, located in Yokohama, Japan, is committed to preserving the history of instant noodles. Learn about your favourite ramen varieties as you gaze in wonderment at the many assorted flavours and packaging styles. Hungry? Stop at one of the many on-site ramen restaurants and don't forget to visit the ramen gift shop before you leave, because nothing says I love you like a plastic cup of instant noodles. The Icelandic Phallological Museum in Reykjavik, Iceland houses the world's largest collection of penises. The museum is home to over 280 wangs taken from 93 different species of animal. As in real life, specimens range in size from the enormous 170cm, which is around 67-inch front tip of a blue whale penis, to the minute 2mm, which is 0.08-inch penis of a hamster. So small it can only be seen through a magnifying glass. Ouch. The museum even claims to display the penises of Holgerfolk, mythical Icelandic elves. But as the elves are invisible, so too are their detached members. The museum's founder, Sigurður Hartason, claims to have had a lifelong fascination with male genitalia, ever since he received a cattle whip made from a bull's penis as a child. The museum, which is now run by Sigurður's son Hjörtur, acquired its first human specimen in July 2011. It was one of 4 penises promised to the museum by would-be donors. If you find ventriloquist dummies to be unnerving, then the Vent Haven Ventriloquist Museum may not be for you. Located in West Maple Avenue, Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, this strange museum is home to over 800 ventriloquist dummies, dating as far back as the 1700s. First opened in 1973, the museum sees more than 1,000 visitors a year and even hosts an annual ventriloquist convention. Personally, I wouldn't spend a night trapped in this museum. If horror movies have taught me anything, the dummies would most likely come to life, giggling insanely into the wee hours of the morning, all while listening to creepy old tunes on a crackly gramophone. Established in 1992, the Sulab International Toilet Museum is home to toilets from more than 50 countries. The toilets are arranged chronologically from ancient to medieval through to today's modern conveniences. The museum also includes information on sanitation, social habits, and toilet-related poetry and humour. Among the more notable pieces on display are gold and silver chamber pots used by Roman emperors, and a toilet camouflaged as a bookcase. There's even a recreation of King Louis XIV's toilet he reportedly sat on while holding court. The Museum of Broken Relationships, located in Zagreb, Croatia, was founded in 2006. Sculptor Drazen Grupjacic came up with the idea after his 4-year relationship with film producer Olinka Vistica came to an end. The pair then began asking friends to donate items from their failed relationships, and soon they had a big enough collection to display. The museum proved so popular with visitors that it received the Kenneth Hudson Award for Europe's Most Innovative Museum in 2011. In 2016, famous American lawyer John B. Quinn opened a second branch of the museum in Los Angeles, California, right next to the Dolby Theatre. The museum houses a physical collection of items that have been donated anonymously, including photographs, letters, and documents. Visitors are also encouraged to upload their own images into the virtual web museum. The Big Mac Museum, located in North Huntington, Pennsylvania, first opened its doors back in 2007. The museum was opened by the creator of the Big Mac, Jim Dalligatti, who was also one of the very first McDonald's franchisees. The museum is located inside a fully operational McDonald's restaurant and showcases tons of Big Mac related memorabilia, including advertisements, toys, and promotional photos from all around the world. The museum even has a bronze statue of Jim himself, as well as a gigantic Big Mac. Measuring 12 feet across and more than 14 feet tall, it is the largest Big Mac statue in the world. Founded in 1953 by Dr. Satoru Kamigai, the Meguro Parasitological Museum in Tokyo, Japan, is dedicated to the history of parasites. This strange museum is divided into 2 floors. The first is dedicated to parasites and their life cycles in the natural world. The second focuses on parasites that live inside the human body. With over 300 specimens on display, the museum is not for the squeamish. The collection even includes an 8.8 meter long or 29 foot tapeworm. Can't get enough? Why not visit the gift shop and take home a souvenir of your visit? Items include postcards, t-shirts, and even mobile phone cases that have actual parasites embedded in the acrylic. If you have a tendency to get overexcited at the sheer mention of fencing paraphernalia, then this place will blow your mind. Located in La Crosse, Kansas, the Kansas Barbed Wire Museum is the place to go when nothing else will quench your curiosity for barbed wire. Displaying over 2,000 different types, the museum focuses on the history of barbed wire, including its role in the settlement of the United States as well as its many modern-day applications. Established in 1970, the museum's collection grew so significantly that a new building had to be constructed. In 2004, the building was expanded to include the headquarters of the Antique Barbed Wire Society, an organization committed to collecting, preserving, exhibiting, and interpreting the historical heritage of barbed wire and barbed wire related items. Whew, thrilling stuff. The Museum of Vampires, located on the outskirts of Paris, France, is possible to visit by appointment only. Housed within a private residence, the museum is home to all manner of vampire-related items, including paintings, books, and autographs of every actor to ever have played Dracula in a Hollywood movie. There's even a mummified cat on display that was found in a nearby cemetery, as well as a painting by the so-called Vampire of Paris, infamous murderer and grave robber Nicolas Clos. Hosted by television network TV Tokyo, The Mysterious Great Adventure of the Body is an exhibition aimed at children. Held at the Saitama Super Arena in Saitama, Japan, it is based on the functions of the human body and how it produces its waste material like boogers and poo. The planners obviously know what appeals to children. This photo shows the entrance to the exhibit, a giant butt crack.
Well, that's another episode. Thank you so much for watching. Now, if you could share this video around on social media, that would be amazing. Whatever your platform, Facebook, Twitter, or Reddit, it's all amazingly helpful. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slapham.
10 ghost photos that can't be explained. Can our world be haunted by the deceased? Many people believe in an afterlife but lack solid evidence. Are the following photos proof of the spirit realm? Join us as we examine 10 ghost photos that can't be explained. Today we have very special guest Danger Dolan to help us go through these creepy ass photos.
This ghostly picture was taken in early January 1929 in the Phantom Wood Mill in the United States by a builder named Robert D. Walsh. At the time, the young builder was making repairs to the staircase when he needed some reference photographs to help with the renovations. He had been alone all morning and said that his dog had been acting unusual, whimpering at thin air. Then, when the photograph was developed, it was clear that some kind of apparition was hovering at the top of the staircase. Mr. Walsh died in November 1943, having sworn that the photo was real and hadn't been altered in any way.
Ghostly family photo. In the late 1800s, this family sat down to get a group photograph. When they developed the photo, they noticed a haunting face in the background. It is said that this is the face of a family member that had recently died. It would appear they didn't want to be forgotten and desperately wanted to be included in the family photo.
Little girl in the abandoned house. Little is known about this picture other than it was posted anonymously in a forum in the late 90s. Apparently it was taken while exploring an abandoned house. The poster was adamant that nothing or no one was present when the picture was taken.
The Tulip Staircase Ghost. This chilling ghost photo was taken in 1966 by Reverend Ralph Hardy in the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich, England. At the time, the Reverend was taking a series of photos of the Tulip Staircase in the Queen's house. When he had the photographs developed, he was stunned at what he had captured. The Reverend was certain no one was present that day, as the staircase has always been off limits to visitors. Many experts have tried to prove this famous ghost photo as a fake, but have fallen short. Kodak even examined the photo and determined that it had not been altered in any way.
This photo was posted to Imgur by a user named The Stringer. It was taken back in 1970 at a birthday party of theirs. Nothing unusual happened that day, until I noticed the strange face of a girl at the bottom of the photograph. No one could identify the little girl. They thought it may have been a friend of a friend or a passing neighbor. And then one day the Stringer's grandmother saw the photo and was certain it was the face of Marie, her daughter that had died several years before the photo was taken.
The Ghost of Dark Hedges. Photographer Gordon Watson took this photo while visiting the Dark Hedges in Stranokum County, Antrim, a location made famous by the HBO series Game of Thrones. A ghostly figure known as the Grey Lady is said to haunt this old stretch of road. She's been reported for many years by witnesses that say she floats the length of the road before vanishing at the last beech tree. Legend has it that it's the ghost of an old maid that died mysteriously hundreds of years ago. Many tourists flock to this road in the hope of seeing the Grey Lady. However, it is thought that this is the first hard evidence of her existence. Photographer Kevin McCauley examined the photograph and told the local newspaper, the Ballymoney Times, that it hadn't been doctored or digitally enhanced in any way.
The Haunted Schoolyard. Photographed in 1977 in an English schoolyard, this chilling image shows a transparent person walking behind a group of school children. Mrs. Gregory, who took the photo during the children's Silver Jubilee, was adamant that no one was walking in the background. Is this the spirit of a deceased school teacher?
Jessica Alba is haunted. On January 13, 2016, celebrity movie star Jessica Alba posted a photo to her Instagram with the caption, "I have no idea what that is, freaky." In the background, it's clear that there's some kind of blue shaded figure staring at the camera. What do you think? Is this real, or is she whipping up some good PR?
The Ghost of Baldwin Manor. This unsettling photo was taken in November 2005 by photographer Tom Halstead. Halstead said he snapped this figure as it came up the stairs of the old mansion. He was using 35mm film, and reportedly the figure can be seen on the film's negative, which makes this very compelling evidence of the existence of ghosts.
Missing limb. This photo was submitted to a ghost investigation forum in 2015. The user, who goes by the name of Peter, said he was taking some Christmas family photos when he noticed something disturbing. In one of the photos, his daughter's arm went missing, and in its place a shadow with long, slender fingers appeared. And if you look closely, the shadow also doesn't match what the little girl is wearing. It looks as though the dark figure is wearing a long dress. Bonus time! A huge shout out to Countdown King Danger Dolan for helping out with this one. Now if you can't get enough of the creepy stuff, head on over to his channel right now to see his latest video, 10 paranormal video clips that will give you chills. We feature in it, and the links are in the description box below. Holy moly, get me a fresh pair of pantaloonies, that was terrifying. As always, thanks heaps for watching. Remember to give that thumbs up button a click, it lets us know you're enjoying the content. Also click the gear icon next to the subscribe button on our channel page so you get all the latest updates from Slapped Ham. And this is the Slapped Ham Shining Wolf.
Schlapham.
5 monsters caught on tape. From a dragon filmed flying over England to a creature caught lurking in the depths of a sewer, we take a look at 5 monsters caught on tape. This footage, taken during the 2011 tsunami in Japan, appears to show some sort of mysterious white creature fleeing the rising waters. The beast seems to disappear into thin air as it scrambles to the roof of a nearby house. Sensing further danger, the monster then makes another dash for higher ground. This footage was taken in a Mexican town in 2015. After hearing strange noises coming from outside, the resident decides to take their camera to investigate. What they see lurking on the roof is truly terrifying. There's very little information available about this clip. It's apparently filmed somewhere in England and appears to show a dragon flying across the sky. What do you think, real dragon or elaborate hoax? Let us know in the comments section below. This remarkable footage from Brazil claims to show an alien being held by the local government. In the video, the soldiers are apparently asking the creature to speak. Both soldiers then make a hasty exit as one of them says, "Let's get out of here." This chilling footage was captured during a routine sewer inspection by a UK water company. What they catch a glimpse of is the stuff of nightmares. Here's a bonus one for you all. It's not a video as such, it's an image that went viral in 2014. Allegedly, it's a heat signature of a bizarre animal captured by a geologist working in a New Mexico oil field. Many claim this monster to be a skinwalker, a mythical creature from Native American legend that has the ability to shapeshift into any animal it chooses. Others believe it's a hoax, claiming it's a still from a little-known 1980s science fiction film. What do you think, hoax or proof that a skinwalker is prowling the oil fields of New Mexico? As always, thanks heaps for watching. Hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the creepy content. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe because we have stuff like this coming out each and every week. And this is the Schlapham Shining.
How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about some really creepy true stories that have happened on Craigslist. From a post trying to give away copious amounts of free meat to an advertisement looking for a lady to sit in a bathtub of noodles. Join us as we take a look at the 10 creepiest Craigslist stories that have actually happened.
This anonymous Craigslist user claimed they unexpectedly received a huge batch of meat and they needed it gone ASAP. It sounded like a nice enough gesture on the surface, but the terms of the deal were more than a little creepy. The user wanted to offload their many coolers full of mystery meat in a Walmart car park at the totally reasonable hour of 3 AM. Not only that, the meat pictured in the ad was allegedly pork but looked very well like it could have been human. Oh, and the vehicle the user drove was described as an old windowless van with a busted taillight. I don't know about you, but I think I'm going deaf from all those alarm bells. Reddit user Van B just wanted some quick cash, but instead he found himself on the receiving end of a very intense friendship offer. It started when he successfully sold his juicer on Craigslist. The buyer asked if he could deliver the item to his house, and Van B happily obliged since the buyer lived close by. As they were finalising the sale, Van B and the buyer made small talk about things they one day wanted to buy. The next day, Van B jumped back on Craigslist and came across an ad for a very specific model of desk he wanted. He inquired about it and found out that the seller just so happened to be the guy who had just bought his juicer. Van B chalked this up as a coincidence and went over to inspect the desk. When he got there, he found it was nothing like the one pictured in the ad. In fact, it was clear that the desk had recently been cobbled together from scraps of wood. The next day, Van Beed received a text from the bogus seller asking if he wanted to come over for a beer. Van Beed politely declined, wanting to keep all his organs in his body. He specified that a neighbour would be timing the visit from across the street. If all that wasn't strange enough, the ad also stressed that the person shouldn't bring any of their own sauce. This was because the man was planning to season and eat the pasta when he got home later that night. In May 2009, a man posted a creepy and bizarre. Members of a satanic cult used Craigslist to try and recruit new members. Their ad featured a big picture of a pentagram and asked readers to sacrifice blood or even their own lives to the devil. The poster claimed to have sacrificed 5 lives already and taken the blood of 10 innocents. Luckily, this operation was thwarted before any impressionable Craigslist users fell victim. The poster foolishly put a time and meeting point in his ad, which led authorities straight to them. When police arrived at the address, they found 4 men standing over a bloody pentagram wearing black robes. Needless to say, they were all arrested. A Craigslist user shocked the city of Tulsa when they anonymously boasted about a murder they claimed to have committed. The chilling note appeared in Craigslist's personal section and showed the killer taunting locals about evading arrest and promising to strike again. The user also referenced an Oklahoman judge and several Department of Corrections officers by name, which leads police to think that the threat could be legitimate. Police have subpoenaed Craigslist for the user's private information, but one thing's for sure, the people of Tulsa won't rest easy until this creepy case is solved. In 2011, Richard Beasley used Craigslist to lure unsuspecting men to their deaths. He did this by posting a fake job listing offering a laid-back, well-paid caretaker position on his secluded farm. Hundreds of applications responded, giving Richard a smorgasbord of potential victims. His plan involved luring lonely men to Ohio and killing them in some deserted woods. He successfully pulled off his plan 3 times, but his 4th victim, Scott David, narrowly escaped with superficial gunshot wounds. Scott then spent the next few hours creeping through the woods, being hunted like an animal. He eventually came across a rural property where he was able to notify the police. Richard was caught and given the death penalty, while his 16-year-old accomplice was sentenced to a life in prison. The case shows Craigslist users should be suspicious when an offer seems too good to be true. In 2013, a woman known as Sandra Z from Brooklyn posted a rather disturbing ad on Craigslist. It was for a free, human-sized hamster wheel strong enough to accommodate a 200-pound human. To sweeten the deal, the poster also had 50 pounds of shredded newspaper to give away. The seller, who was possibly the wife or girlfriend of the person that owned the wheel, seemed less than thrilled to have the contraption in her apartment, as her post understandably ended with, "I will not have this thing in my house any longer." How will the guy with the rodent fetish get his exercise from now on, I wonder? Just another reason why it sucks to be the hamster man. In 2003, Brian Boucher was looking for a roommate to help pay the rent. He put an ad on Craigslist and soon found the perfect candidate. John Williams was tidy, considerate, and mostly kept to himself. Their arrangement worked perfectly for several months. But after a while, Brian grew suspicious of the many hours John was spending alone in his room. One day, when John was out, Brian broke into his room to conduct a search. What he found made his blood run cold. John had collected a huge folder of things that Brian had thrown in the trash. There were letters, credit card statements, confidential medical documents, and even a list of Brian's internet passwords.